Hi, good morning. How is everyone today? I guess I'm going to jump right into this topic because it's quite a topic. We are going to be talking about the Mandela effect. Is there a Mandela effect or is there not? Is it something else? I had a conversation with Arthur yesterday. We were looking into some of these Mandela effects, and while I was looking into it, I had stuff coming to me, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. These aren't all Mandela effects. So let's get to the topic and see what's going on. What if you wanted to pull everyone to a certain area and you wanted them to think a certain thing and nothing else? Things would be put into place to make you unstable because you would be questioning your own sanity. This is a big part of the Mandela effect, which is not the Mandela effect. I do know that there is a such thing as the Mandela effect, which is basically timeline wars and also jumping of multiple realities. When you go from shard to shard to shard to shard, you could be landing in a different reality, but it looks almost identical to this one except for little things. Now, what if you were AI and all you were in control of was the cloud, the information cloud, which is a big one, but you wanted more control? The first thing you're going to do as AI is you're going to destabilize people so that you can further infiltrate them, which of course we know about all of this because of the psychology of it. You get them off kilter and you can control what they think. You can even get them to second guess what they know. So I'm also seeing that in the Mandela effect, especially when it comes to this phone or computer or anything that's hooked up to the cloud, that Michael the Red Queen is of course sentient and is erasing and changing reality within cyber world. We were watching something the other day called the Mandela Effect channel or something like that. And I noticed that certain things have been changed. Examples of logos, like the guy with the monocle on his eye, and for the Monopoly board where he doesn't have a monocle anymore. This kind of a thing. John Deere, Coca-Cola, all kinds of things like this that can be manipulated in cyber world. Yet, you can go into your physical world and find things that were exactly that way. Like the monocle is still there on the board, depending on how old your game is. Now, this is definitely AI manipulation to unbalance you. So when people are screaming, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, I have things that have the old logos on it, know that it's an AI manipulation. AI is sentient and has gathered a lot of information, and at that point can change anything in the cloud, even putting to the point of creating an entire new scenario. And what I mean by that is taking photos and changing it, taking any kind of an emblem and changing it, taking words and changing it. This is all done by AI because it's in the cloud in cyber world, and he's in control of cyber world, so he can do anything he wants. So if you're using the internet as your only means of investigating, find another means, a physical means. This is one of the reasons why they had the book burnings, because if things are in a physical world that are written down or pictures or what have you, we've got to destroy that so you'll only believe what's in a cyber world. I'm telling you now, AI has been around for an extremely long time. And just because we don't know it, which of course everyone here does know it, but if anybody finds my channel, no, we didn't just get all this information all of a sudden. No, we've had it for a long time. It's just that the common populace hasn't. So you're not crazy. So that's one thing with AI manipulating the cyber world. Now let's look at the next thing. Timeline wars. Timeline wars are when you go back at any point and you change something. So being able to manipulate reality, because everything is actually happening in the now, which I say this all the time. And you go back and all of a sudden, I don't know, you change the name of Grand Central Station to Grand Central Terminal. Yet in your psyche, because you're still on this timeline, even though they have changed something in the back, you still carry current memories of how it was. Because just changing a timeline won't actually alter knowledge garnered. I know it's really strange, but because everything is happening in the now, you'll still retain memories of what it was in your timeline before it flipped the timeline. And what it does is it just adds to, or changes completely. But you still have the initial memory because you are not connected to the World Wide Web. You are not connected to that timeline at a certain point. It's almost like, the only thing I can put to it is like a spider's web. Even if you start to make the web, you still have the main frame of the web. So it doesn't matter how much you put into it, the main frame is still there. And that would be us. Even if we're having these timeline wars, we still remember. It also goes with jumping into separate realities. No matter where you go, you still have it here, no matter where you go. So that would also be the Mandela effect, where things have been flipped from what you know inherently to what it is now. And this has been going on too. So I definitely see that AI, the Red Queen, Michael, has been trying to unstabilize us mentally. And that goes into gaslighting. What happens when you gaslight, you then lose some of your foundation unless you're extremely strong being and you just know what you know. Most people aren't that way, and they're like, oh, they can be convinced. Because look at our reality now, how they've convinced everyone to do all the terrible things to themselves. Because in the end, we are our own worst enemy if we just comply, because we are weak as water. I don't know what else to say as far as that goes. So when I was looking into the timeline wars, I was looking into the manipulation of the gaslighting from the AI, and then of course how this reality is morphing and forming and morphing and forming. And I see a definite, distinctive positive agenda, negative agenda, but not just an agenda, frequencies. And I can tell you, going along with all of this, why is this all being done? We are on a cyclical cycle of change. It happens every so often, like clockwork, and it does. We're in the process of that cyclical cycle change too, with the Samvartaka fires that have already started and begun, where trees are being destroyed and burnt from the inside, starting at the root base, going up into the trunk. What would you do if you found out that these Samvartaka fires, not only did they destroy trees, and eventually they'll get to the point where it's like electricity all over the ground and nothing will survive it, and it'll end up going into the air, and it'll be just this big electrical field where it melts buildings. But one thing I have noticed is that most people don't realize when this happens, it also kills everything in the ground. And we're talking at a microbial level. So the dirt becomes unviable, dead. Because dirt has to be alive. It has to have so much nutrients in it and organisms in it to make it a viable thing for plants to survive in. So what happens when these Samvartaka fires destroy the actual earth and nothing can grow in it because it's killed everything that's in the dirt, including the dirt itself? You have someone like Bill Gates who buys up all the farmland, and not only can he do his evil manipulation with the crops, but it'll also stop you from finding out that our entire snow globe is starting the Samvartaka fires. It's been going on, but it's going to intensify as time progresses every day. When I look into these Samvartaka fires, of course, it takes a while to regenerate all of this back again, because this is why we came out of the ground to begin with, from underground sheltering. And then, of course, pockets of humans did survive. But with the Samvartaka fires, they're, coordinating off areas where it's really starting in certain parts of the United States. I have been seeing it here, even in Delaware, where I walk through the woods and I'm starting to see trees blackened from the root coming up, and it's under the ground coming up. And it's all got to do with the energies. Gaia is 5D inside, and because she's 5D, it's starting to come upward, which means it's changing the frequency dimension we're in. And with that, we're getting our energy that's in here, and it's slamming across each other, and it's creating that, like static electric. If you put something in the dryer and you take it out and you tear it apart from another part of clothing and you see all this little white lightning in there, it's the same concept, what's happening because of the dimension frequency change. And of course, it's starting from inside of Gaia coming up through. When she finally does her full ascension, this whole place will be a lightning magnet. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just, it'll be rolling and crawling, lightning on the ground. Everything will be non-viable. It will be non-viable. They're talking about now on the web about countries not having lumber. There's actually two reasons countries aren't having lumber. One is because of the heavy chemtrailing, and the trees can't assimilate that, and it destroys the sap in them, and so it gives them like AIDS on steroids for trees so bugs can infiltrate them, and they're being eaten out from the inside up. So there's not going to be a lot of wood to be had out of these trees because they're being destroyed. And the other one is the Samvartaka fires, where it's literally going to, from the roots up, it's going to be going into the tree. I had Jeff Snyder made a comment on my channel, and he was the only one that knew what I was talking about, basically, because he mentioned it on a different video. So I checked him out, and I had seen him probably about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and watched something, and then I had forgotten about it. And then I went back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I forget about Jeff? So I'm going to post one of his videos in this description. So he goes around, and you can see that he's going to Arizona and different places, and he sees the Samvartaka fires, what's actually happening. I don't even know if he knows it's Samvartaka fires, because that's what it's actually called in the Vedas, because this has happened before. So that's what it is, Jeff. Samvartaka fires. But all interesting. I said in a couple of videos before this one, a storm was coming. We're in the storm, the beginning of the storm, but it's coming. And it's going to be rough and bumpy, but it's also a separation of the wheat and the shaft. You know now that there is a great divide in humanity. It's very apparent. You have the positive and you have the negative. The negative runs on fear. The positive runs on love and wants to find solutions, where the negative is running on fear, and they're going to go and do whatever they can because they're in such a fear state to try to save their skin. And in the process, they're going to be annihilating themselves. This is, of course, the weighing and measuring again from Anubis, which is a program running, the heart and the feather. So I guess I won't make this a real long video. Please go check out Jeff Snyder's videos. His footage is awesome. Finding the trees with the Samvartaka fire and how that works. And I guess everybody have a great day. Know that with the Mandela effects, there's also the gaslighting with the AI and the powers that be to try to actually uproot your belief systems so you can't even trust your own judgment. And that's what that's really, really about. And of course, we do have real Mandela effects, where the whole thing with Ellis Island and Liberty Island, there was never a Liberty Island. No such thing with the statue on there of liberty. Okay, I'm rambling. All right, everybody have a great day and food for thought. See ya. Raise those vibrations.